Welcome to this channel. We're here to have a great time together. Escape reality for a moment in a fantasy world. New stories every week and new chapters every day. I hope you'll enjoy all of my little world. See you later. Hi, welcome home for another stories in a world of fantasy. Take a seat, get comfy, grab a drink and some food to listen of all the new adventures. Let's go together.
They say time dulls pain, but they're wrong. Some wounds never heal, not even after years. I'd come to this tavern to forget, to drown my grief in the bottom of a tankard. My child, my only child, gone on a quest I should have. That's when I heard them. A group of travelers, their voices just loud enough to catch my ear, talking about a cursed forest and a child who lives there. A boy, they said, who walks alone in the shadows, untouched by time. I told myself it couldn't be true. It shouldn't be true. But something inside me, a whisper, a hope, refused to let it go. Could it be him? Could it be my son? The forest between realms. They called it cursed, dangerous. But I'd faced danger before. I wasn't about to let fear stop me now. If there was even a chance, no matter how small, I had to know the truth. The forest felt different, alive, but not in the way a forest should be. The air was thick, heavy with something I couldn't name. With each step, I could feel its darkness pressing against me. Watching me, I should have turned back. The stories about this place, how it twists the minds of those who enter, it was all true. But something kept me moving forward. A mother's instinct. A hope I couldn't let go of. And then I heard it, a rustling, a growl, but nothing appeared. I thought I was losing my mind, but I wasn't alone. Something was hunting me, waiting. I tried to ignore the growing feeling of eyes on me, but the sound of claws scraping the earth, it was getting closer. I didn't know how much further I could go. But then, there they were, wolves. But not like any wolves I'd seen before. Their eyes glowed like fire, their shadows shifting as if they didn't belong in this world at all. I fought them, my sword cutting through the darkness, my heart pounding in my chest. One by one they fell, but I didn't feel victorious. This forest has a way of turning you into something you're not. I could feel it, but I couldn't stop now. Not after everything I've lost. I had to know. Was he out there? Was my son out there, lost in the shadows of this cursed place? The deeper I went, the more the forest seemed to change. The air grew colder, the light dimmer. I thought I heard whispers, soft voices, almost like memories calling out to me. I had to remind myself why I was here. I was searching for answers. For him. But the further I walked, the more doubts crept in. Was this a dream? A trick of my mind? I'd heard the stories. The cursed forest, the way it distorts reality. But those were just stories, weren't they? And then I saw it. A small toy. One I thought I'd lost years ago. His toy. The one he carried with him everywhere when he was younger. Could it really be him? Could this forest be hiding my son? Or was it just another cruel reminder of everything I've lost? I heard a voice then, soft, almost like a whisper through the trees. "Mother, is it you?" But when I turned, there was no one there, just the shadows and the silence. But I can't stop now. I won't. I have to know the truth. If this is him, if he's out there, I will find him. The deeper I went, the harder it became to ignore the feeling that something was waiting for me. The trees around me grew taller, their branches twisting in unnatural shapes. The forest felt alive, like it was watching. I wasn't sure what I expected to find, but I never imagined this. In the clearing ahead, a figure stood, towering, monstrous, blocking the path. Its eyes burned with an unnatural fire. The guardian of the forest, they called it. No one who faced it ever returned the same. But there was no turning back. Not now. I drew my blade, ready for the fight. It was all I could do. I had to pass, had to keep moving forward. But this creature, it was more than just a beast. It was something ancient, powerful, and it was The beast lunged, its claws like daggers, its roar shaking the earth beneath my feet. I fought back, my sword clashing with its jagged fangs, but it felt like the forest itself was trying to pull me under. I was losing. I thought of turning back, of giving up. But then I saw him, in the distance, a figure, barely visible in the shadows, watching me. My son. It was him, wasn't it? He stood there, waiting, silent, still. I couldn't stop. I couldn't let him slip away again. With one final strike, I drove my sword through the beast's heart, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. The guardian fell, and the shadows parted. There in the darkness, I saw him again. But when he spoke, his voice was cold, empty. He didn't move, didn't react. He looked at me like a stranger, like he didn't know me. I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest, staring at him. The child, the boy who was supposed to be lost in the shadows of this cursed forest. But he wasn't a child anymore, not in the way I remembered. His eyes were dark, empty, not like the light they once held. And his face. I knew that face. I had raised that face, held it in my arms, kissed it goodnight. But this wasn't the same child. He didn't recognize me. I called his name, my name for him, but he didn't move, didn't even flinch. I begged, please, please let it be you. But he only stared at me, like he was looking right through me. I reached out, but my hand shook. He looked at me, and then he turned away, like I was nothing more than a stranger to him. The forest around us grew colder. I tried to push the thought away, that terrible thought. Could it be that this was no longer my son? Was he still in there, trapped somewhere beneath this cold, empty shell? But then he spoke. His voice was like the wind through dead leaves, hollow and distant. I know who you are, he said. But it wasn't a reunion. It wasn't the warmth of a son remembering his mother. It was a warning. He told me I couldn't take him from this place. That if I did, if I tried to leave the forest with him, he would vanish. Fade away like he was never there. That was the curse. The one that had trapped him here, but I wouldn't leave. I couldn't leave him here. Not like this. The truth hit me like a blow to the chest. This curse, it wasn't just trapping him. It was eating him alive. Slowly, piece by piece, it was consuming him from the inside. The child I once knew, he wasn't just lost, he was fading. A part of him was gone already. His memories, his very soul, tied to the forest, to the shadows, to the curse. I asked him how. How could this happen? How could my son become this? But he only looked at me, his eyes empty, as though the answers were lost forever. He said that if I tried to take him from the forest, if I even stepped 1 foot out of this cursed place with him, he would disappear, fade into nothingness. The curse had made him a prisoner, but it wasn't just the forest that held him captive. It was me, my love for him, the very bond between us that had caused the curse in the first place. I had to choose, him or me. But the hardest part, the real price of breaking the curse wasn't just him. It would cost me something too. To free him, I would have to give up something precious, something I could never get back. I could feel it now, the choice, heavy as a stone in my chest. A piece of myself would have to die. My heart, my soul, my sight. But I couldn't leave him. Not like this. If there was any chance to save him, to save my son, I would fight for him. The demon stood before us, its eyes like burning coals, its form shifting in the shadows. It was the thing that had cursed my son, the thing that had twisted him into something unrecognizable. I knew what I had to do. To break the curse, to save him, I would have to fight. I would have to face the demon that had haunted him, that had controlled him, and I would have to give everything I had. We fought with everything we had, my sword clashing with the demon's claws, my strength pushing me beyond what I thought was possible. But it wasn't just strength that would win this battle. It was sacrifice. I had to protect him, even if it meant losing myself, even if it meant losing a part of me that I could never get back. With one final strike, we defeated the demon. But the curse was not broken yet. It required more, something more. My son and I stood together, facing the heart of the forest, the darkness swirling around us. I knew the cost. To break the curse fully, I would have to give up my sight, one of my eyes. My son would have to lose his arm. We would pay the price together. But in that moment, with the forest shaking and the curse lifting, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. We had won. The curse was gone. The forest was free. And my son was free too. We walked away from the forest together, wounded but alive. The darkness was behind us, and ahead of us was a new beginning. I couldn't see with both my eyes anymore, but I could feel him beside me. My son. The child I had lost. And though we were both scarred, I knew we would rebuild. Together. The curse had broken us, but it had also brought us back together. And that was all I needed to know.
And that concludes the part of tonight's adventures. A new story will begin tomorrow at the same time. Be here to listen and escape reality with us. Good night, everyone.